Hey guys, Myles here at Tactical Hyve. It's Monday, so it's another dry fire session. And we are going to wrap up our trigger control segment by talking about an exercise that combines everything we've covered but has a different starting position, which we've already done, but we're going to approach things differently. So if you want to know what it is, stay tuned. All right, so if you've been following the series thus far, when we're talking about trigger control, we cover two major principles: just move your trigger finger straight to the rear. Those are the two principles. Then constant speed and minimal efforts. So those 4 points combined will help you have a good trigger squeeze. But in this series, we covered a number of different trigger manipulations. We've already covered what the reset and prep is. Okay, so you prep your trigger. This was early on in the series, so if you don't know what we mean, watch those videos. Okay, but you're not always going to be able to prep your trigger. And if you've been shooting for a while, for example, law enforcement and military, they're not going to have, depending on the situation, they're not going to have their finger on the trigger. And let's say you yourself, if you heard the bump in the night, if you had children or something like that, you may not be walking around with your finger on the trigger, especially if you're not highly trained. Because if something surprises you, what's going to happen? You're going to take a shot, right? And maybe a relative comes out, your kid comes out, and you inadvertently shoot. Okay, so that's not something we don't want. So a lot of people will probably, when they're looking around, they're going to be indexing here along the frame, all right? So they're safe. There's a little bit more time for them to make a judgment, positively identify a threat, okay? So we're going to now do everything from here, start from here, but when we shoot, we are on purpose going to slap the trigger, okay? It does not matter what trigger manipulation you use. If you follow the principles, everything should be fine, okay? And so I suggest that you actually try the different trigger manipulations. Why? Slapping is something you probably are going to do just instinctively when surprised. Something pops out. This happens all the time in force and force classes too. If someone gets surprised, they don't have time to do prepping or anything. They're just going to slap that trigger. So now it's important to move just your trigger finger straight to the rear, constant speed, minimal effort. So this is where dry fire mag is going to come in handy again. So it's going to allow you to manipulate that trigger, all right, without having to rack the slide. And it's a very similar feel to your actual trigger after you tune the dry fire mag. And what we're going to be doing now is similar to last week. You can pick anything in your home, wherever you're doing your dry fire, right? I'm just going to use that target for now. And you're going to simulate being surprised. From the index position, you're going to take shots. And what is the whole purpose here? We want to pay attention to our red dot or our sights. Are they moving? Okay, so this is just another way to be hyper-focused on your sights and make sure that you're not disturbing your sights when you are shooting. All right, I have a target downrange, but you could use any target. This is dry fire. What you're going to be doing is no less than 2 shots per repetition. And what you want to do is start from the index position. And you're going to be shooting as fast as you can, okay? As fast as you can pull the trigger. That's what you're going to probably do if you're surprised and the threat just pops out of nowhere. Close range, you want to stay on your gun, on your target, looking at your target, and take 2 rapid fire shots. Now, when we do this though, you are going to be paying attention to your front sight or your red dot, just like always, all right? Start from the index position and then 2 shots. As fast as you can. And see, did the sight move? Did the red dot dip? The red dot did dip a little bit there because I was a little too excited and I actually activated my 3 amigos. But see, notice how I'm able to spot that. That's the type of awareness you need. You can't just do these reps blindly, where you might do the 2 reps, hear the click of the dry fire mag, think, oh, everything is fine. No, make sure you're paying attention to where your front sight is moving, okay, or your red dot. So again, I'm here from the index position. I would do this off of a buzzer too, okay? You don't have to when starting, but off of a buzzer, you're reacting to a stimulus rather than you deciding. So when you react, you'll be surprised, and that might cause you to add more movement, okay? So what you want to do is you're going to react off the buzzer, maybe from here, okay? You don't have to be pointing down range, from a high ready position or a low ready position, whatever ready position you want. Buzzer sounds, beep, you're going to present right away, take 2 shots from the index position, slapping the trigger, basically pulling the trigger as fast as you can. Buzzer sounds and you present. And all the while, you proper follow through everything we talked about in this series. I'm not going to just do this. I'm not going to go from this position, shoot, and then back, okay? I'm gonna have proper follow through, right? My finger would be on the trigger still, right? After I do those 2 shots, reset and prep, get ready for another shot. Then when you are done, finger off the trigger and back to your start position, okay? There's nothing new. All we're doing is we're combining different things here to make things a little bit more difficult for you. But if you took everything seriously in the previous weeks, this should be a cakewalk, okay? There should be no difference. So you're gonna start off first on the buzzer, index position, buzzer sounds, slap the trigger, pay attention to your red dot or your sights. See if there's movement. You can do 3 shots, 4 shots, whatever you want. Once you're doing well and there's very minimal movement in your sights, now use the buzzer still, now move to different targets. Maybe take 2 shots, 2 shots, 2 shots, whatever it is. Maybe just start off with 2 different targets. So I'm just gonna simulate 2 targets here. All I'm literally going to do is from the buzzer, index position, I present 2 shots, move 2 shots. The trigger work is something you don't necessarily have to pay attention to much because why? We are slapping the trigger. You're pulling it, squeezing it, whatever you want to call it, as fast as you can. If you follow the principles, it should not matter. You should not see a lot of movement with your sights, okay? The purpose of this dry fire session, because you already know everything we're covering. You already know it. The purpose is just to reinforce it and to see if you really have it down pat. Now, if you're doing these exercises and your red dot is all over the place, now we got to back off, okay? Now you got to revisit the previous videos and try to not necessarily master, but become more proficient. So all we're going to do, 15-minute dry fire session with a timer on the buzzer beep, 2 shots. Proper follow through, reset and prep, everything's good, finger off the trigger. I'm on the frame again, the index position, then I start. Do that for a number of times, right? Once you're comfortable, then add multiple targets. Buzzer sounds from the index position here. It could be 3 shots, 4 shots, whatever you want. This is all about reinforcing what you've learned, and it's a check. So easy dry fire session for this week, but dry fire sessions, or a lot of people think like, oh, there's nothing, I already have it. I did it in the previous week. No, you gotta reinforce it, you gotta reinforce it. Shooting is simple, but it's not easy. It becomes easy when you do lots and lots and lots and lots of reps, okay? So this is one of those things, a lot of people go to classes and they think, I got it. But they won't be able to do it instinctively because there's just not enough practice. So this dry fire session is about reinforcing everything, but remember, we are starting now from the index position because why? This is probably going to be realistic in the sense that if you don't know what's going on yet, right, you haven't identified a threat yet, you're probably going to have your finger here. I don't know, maybe some of you will always have your finger on the trigger. I don't know, it's up to you, but if you're surprised, you might inadvertently take that shot when you don't want to. That wraps up today's dry fire session. Remember, this is all about getting those reps in and now starting from probably a more realistic situation where you're gonna have your finger indexed, and if you're surprised, you're probably gonna slap that trigger. You're not gonna have time to prep your trigger to the wall or anything like that. So this is about following the principles and the concepts that you've learned in the previous video. And again, I do highly recommend getting the dry fire mag for this. There's a link below. If you guys use the code TACHYVE, you can get $10 off, but this is something that's really going to help you. Let me know what you guys think thus far about the series and the trigger control segment. If you have any questions, leave in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, subscribe. See you guys on Thursday.